25 years ago, you wouldn't have wanted to know me. The person that I am today wouldn't have wanted to know that person. Have you ever felt stuck, felt like you should be doing more, but there's something holding you back? Maybe you feel some shame. Maybe because of your upbringing, feel that you're not good enough. Well, that was me. My parents came to Canada after World War II as refugees. They'd lost everything and had to borrow money from their church for passage. My father wanted to be independent. My mother wanted to stay with the rest of the family that had resettled in Europe. He got his dream. She had to give hers up. They were poorly educated and struggled to speak English. For the first 12 years, we were desperately poor. So poor that my mother had to feed my older brother and myself, some days with one orange. She sacrificed, though, so we'd at least have clean clothes to wear going to school. I had dreams. I foresaw a life, I wanted a life that was far beyond anything that I had experienced. And to me, the answer to those dreams was to get an education. I was lucky. I did well in school, and I managed to go to university without any real support at all. While I was going to university, I'd hear my classmates talking about their families, things that they had done, vacations that they'd taken, and I just wanted those conversations to end because I had nothing to share. I felt alone. I felt isolated. I felt like an outsider. I graduated, I had a degree, and I had a career, professional career, far beyond what anybody had expected of me. Life should have been wonderful, except it wasn't. Education, as it turns out, wasn't the answer, wasn't the panacea to my dreams. I had read self-help books, a lot of self-help books, tried to figure things out. I'd gone to counseling. Nothing, though, really stuck. Then I heard about this book by somebody called Daniel Goleman, Emotional Intelligence, Why It Can Matter More Than IQ. Sounded interesting. So I picked up a copy, and I started reading. So on the first few pages, I read the sentence that said, "For better or worse, intelligence can come to nothing when emotions hold sway." That was my aha moment. Powerful. Explained my life. That one simple sentence, so profound. So I started reading everything I could on emotional intelligence, or EI. I started taking training. I joined the men's group that helped men work through their emotions. I started doing my own work. The more I got into this, the more I realized what was missing was a book that would help people, give them the tools in a very accessible way that would help them start to make changes in their lives, like I was doing. Because the only books out there were really highly academic. You have to really drill into to get anything really useful out of them except the ideas. So I thought, somebody's got to write a book like that. And then I thought, I'm a somebody. I'd actually written a book before and got it published. But so I started writing, and after some struggles, I managed to find an agent who managed to find a publisher, who managed to find some foreign publishers that were also interested. My mission is to help others by sharing my journey, what I've discovered on my path. What emotional intelligence gave me were tools, real tools, that help in real time in the real world. I'm just going to share a few of these. Self-awareness, hugely important, because unless we're aware of how our past impacts us, we don't have any control over changing it. Self-awareness helps us break free from our past, our negativity, for anything negativity from past. Realize what triggers us. It gives us, empowers us, gives us the choice to make changes. Self-awareness is a root, it's the basis for all emotional intelligence. Increased self-awareness also helps us connect with others. One thing we can do to connect with others, and by the way, we're all hardwired for connections. We are hardwired for connection. Become better listeners. We need to turn off that part of the brain that just wants to respond and really listen, dig deeper, feedback what we're hearing others say. Remember, people, when they feel listened to, will feel very, very special. We'll develop a very powerful bond with those people, because it's so seldom that we're really ever listened to. People really, really pay attention to us. We'll form a special bond. People that we do that with will want to be with us. They'll want to do things for us. They'll want to spend time with us. Remember things that are important to people, their names, vacations, pets, things like that. 75-year-old study that was done at Harvard University, the longest study that was ever done, found that the one thing, the most important thing that determines our happiness is not money, it's not careers, possessions. It's the connections we make with people. One thing that can get away from making connections is letting our impulses control us. I've struggled with impulse control. My ADD doesn't help. I was driving along the other day, and a vehicle cut in front of me. I had to slam on the brakes. Right away, my first urge was to use both my hands. This for the horn, and the other one, well, you know. There's a scientific explanation for that. Actually explains road rage. Our primitive brain, which was useful for us when we lived in caves, is still with us. And even though we don't have saber-toothed tigers chasing us, that brain can still derail us. It's also called the emotional brain. We feel before we think. It's important. We feel before we think. When a message comes in, the first place that it reaches is that primitive brain, or the emotional brain. We need to give ourselves a few seconds for that message to reach the front, powerful thinking brain, the neocortex. So, that's what I was doing when I was counting to 10, giving myself that time. So when we have the urge to do something based on strong emotions, we got to give ourselves a chance for that powerful brain to kick in. Emotional intelligence isn't rocket science. It's real tools that work in real life. Jim Rohn said, there's nothing mysterious or magical about success. It's a matter of basic principles followed on a daily basis. We have a quiz on our website, theotherkindof.smart1word.com. Also, we'd like to offer you a free 30-minute consultation to help. We'd like to know how we could help you and your organization. Thank you.
I've just thoroughly enjoyed Harvey's presentation on emotional intelligence. And while there might be a lot of people doing work in that realm, I am just so struck by his message that we feel before we think. That is something that I'm going to find useful in business and in life overall. And so I thank him for the work that he does in the world, because this is going to be a huge contribution to making it a more self-aware place.
Harvey's message is going to be very, very helpful to parents and educators. I work with schools a lot, so I work with teachers, and I know the frustration that teachers have when their children all of a sudden get upset and they run off and hit someone. And he explained why that happens and strategies for how we can train parents for that as well.
Listening to Harvey speak was amazing. The way he put emotional intelligence and made it so understandable and relatable to how we build those relationships with others. It was just so thought-provoking, and he's passionate about what he's talking about. It really stirs some emotions. It really is emotional intelligence. Amazing, amazing. Highly recommend for anyone to listen to him.
I love Harvey's message, the other kind of smart. It's amazing. It's really about emotional intelligence, and it's so important these days. I mean, our brains are so complex, and he hit it right on the head about how our brain just kind of kicks in automatically and we react without really thinking. So I loved his message, and really about self-awareness and being aware and just understanding what's happening inside. I thought his message was really relevant to what's going on today, and I really applaud him for the other kind of smart.